Man, it's looking really empty in here without the Z. It is not going to be the end of anything though. Even though we are technically done with the Z right now, we still have the Porsche that we have to work on. And that's what we're going to be getting into today. We're going to go ahead and finally take a look at what may or may not be wrong with the 911. We're going to get it jacked up, and we're going to also do an oil change on it, only because that oil has been sitting in there. It's the same oil that's been in there since it's been sitting from however long ago it was when they first let the car sit. So, one thing's for sure, we need to fix that. Right now I have a battery that's been sitting on a tender for quite a while, so we need to first pull that thing off and then put it in the Porsche. Then we can go ahead and move it on over. Honestly, we shouldn't have any issues, so let's just hop right into it. This thing is covered in a very, very thick layer of whatever the hell was dripping from the ceiling and body filler. It's looking a little worse for wear right now. So this thing should just start right up, if I'm lucky. Good to see it doesn't smell any better in here. Let's get this thing started up. Hopefully there's not a bunch of spiders or anything in here. Huh. Okay, let's do this. All right. There it goes. Oh my god. There we go. We're started. Alright. Puts down. Let's go.
You place your floor jack under this section. Then
It's very interesting to lift a 911. Any way I've seen it, other than actually on like a lift, is really sketchy looking. So I'm gonna try and figure something else out. The issue with this is that there's no one central point up front that I can see from any pictures or anything like that, honestly. If I look under the car, I can't see anything. The back has a nice easy jack point, but this is it's a little sketchy. So we'll figure it out. So the game plan here is gonna be jack from the back here, put a jack stand there, go over to the other side, do the same thing. And then we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Okay, let's see how stiff you actually are.
Holy shit. Very. That shit is basically straight. That's insane. That is wild. How is this car so stiff? All right. The weight is officially off the driver's side, so I think we're good. This is so sketchy. You know, this is a sign on how this build's gonna go. This is gonna be a very interesting series. I use the regular lift point on this side to first raise up this side from the back. Obviously, you saw that. On the other side, I use the subframe mount, the like trailing one. That's the one that's just behind the control arm bushing. So I let that part on 6 up. This part is on 5, so I'm going to jack this up from that same point that I used on the other side. That way I can put the jack under it, and then we're going to do it again. So we'll see. Sorry for those of you that are staring at my foot. It's a great view, right? Everything is finally all set up. We are all good. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this brush because, as I had stated previously, this car was crashed and more than likely it went off-road. Now the funny thing about this is what was supposed to be broken, according to the guy that I bought this from, well, let's see if we can rotate this real quick. Tie rod. Now, as you can very clearly see, it's not broken or bent. It is very, very straight. Now, I had made a short, but I never actually uploaded it. But what turned out was this guy was loose for some odd reason. I don't know why. I tightened it hand tight, and all the slop came out of the steering. Now, that is not saying that it doesn't need an alignment. Probably needs an alignment because some shit's probably bent. However, what I can say is, ooh, actually, I already spotted some damage. Right here. You can see there's a little chip in the control arm. Now the question is, what could have possibly hit that to break it? That looks like maybe the sway bar. So it's possible the sway bar is bent. If we take a look here, we can see they are pretty much destroyed on the sway bar end links. So those are going to be needed. So sway bar end links, probably safe just to do the 2 control arms up front. You can see all the grass and stuff that's still in the brake pads from it going off-road. What the hell is this? That needs to be done. Probably could use some new struts because the boots are not doing anything anymore, which is fun. So aftermarket suspension, woo! Other than that, if we take a peek under the car, you can see all the grass and stuff that's still under here from it scooping some stuff up. There's a hole here, and you may or may not be able to see it, but there is some grass up in there. And I'm assuming that is the nest for the mouse that was in here at one point. That is no longer living in the 996, but I'm assuming that that's what that was. Now, if we come back here to the rear, I'm sorry for the wind noises. I have to leave the fan on. It is literally 1,000 degrees in this garage. I'm gonna do what I can in post to fix this, but yeah. So if we look at the engine here, everything is, well, as clean as it can be. The only thing is we do have a leak here, probably a rear main. Everything back here is straight as can be. It's looking great. There's a big ass spider right there, which is comforting with my face being this close to everything. Got a whole bunch of spider eggs. Other than that, everything here looks pretty good. Now, just looking at the case here, I don't think that the IMS bearing has been done. At least not to the completely fail-safe option, which is the consistent oil. I forget what they call it exactly, but a constant oil feed to the IMS bearing, which would require you to like notch the transmission or the transaxle like right there, and that's not done. So probably gonna need an IMS bearing. I say probably going to need. We are going to do an IMS bearing because that is not something that I want to go bad on this engine, and yeah, that would pretty much just grenade the engine. So other than that,
everything else here, again, we got sway bar end links back here, which are all toast. Pretty much anything that's rubber is probably gonna need to be replaced. So, with all that being said, this is looking a-okay.
It's honestly very comforting to look under this car and not see a whole bunch of damage. That is the one thing that I was absolutely terrified, is that the bottom of this car was just gonna be completely wrecked based off the nature of the damage, what I can just kind of assume happened to the car. I wanna see if at some point in the future I can find the original owner for this car so I can kind of figure out what the story was. But with that being said, all the mechanical issues are pretty much minimal. Now, the thing about it is, this is a Porsche, so we have the Porsche tax. Parts are going to be very not cheap. IMS bearing just for the kit for that constant oil feed is around $1,800, between $1,500 or $1,800. It really depends on where you buy it from. And that's just one part that I don't even know that's bad, but it's preventative maintenance at this point. As far as things that are actually broken, the front end refresh kit, I looked at that shortly after buying this car because I figured that was something that was going to be needed to be done. Those are in and around $1,500 mark for a whole front end kit, not including coilovers. So no struts at all in that. So that's going to be something else that we're going to have to look at. And honestly, it's probably going to end up just being all four corners because the boots in the back look like they're not doing much either. So all four corners on that. Of course, we need all four new tires. We need to figure out if the wheel that was up there is actually cracked or not. I think it's okay, just looking at it. I think what the issue might have been is that the tire debeaded in the accident, which probably means that impact was over here. Based off the damage that we saw on the control arm here, that would make a lot of sense. So this side probably hit a curb, rear hit something. I don't know what would have left a dent like that and not a scratch on the car. Honestly, that might have been an issue from when it's been in storage. I mean, this thing hasn't been on the road for over a decade, so that's entirely possible. Other than that, I imagine it hit this curb, scooped up a whole bunch of stuff under, spun around and hit that back edge off of something. Honestly, it might have just hit, they might have hit like a median or something, lost control of the car, spun it out, and that's how the back hit something. Based off of what I know about handling these cars, that is a very possible thing. So, with that all being said, parts that are needed. Front end refresh kit. Basically, control arms, sway bar end links. Tie rod ends look good. The boots are probably good on the ball joints on those as well. But we need new clamps for the boots on the tie rods. Both front and rear, actually. Look like the rear doesn't have tie rods. What am I saying? I am having a heat stroke right now. Oh my God. Possibly a sway bar, and that's pretty much it. Maybe some tie rod ends. I really got to pull it, just make sure that all those ball joints are good and they don't have a whole bunch of play in it. Other than that, in the rear, we need a rear main seal. We need a IMS kit, and that's pretty much it. Coilovers would be nice, but you can drive this car on okay suspension for a little bit. I wouldn't want to do that. So I know there is something going on with the brake system. I don't know if they bled it or what, but there is literally not a drop of brake fluid in the reservoir. The brakes do still work a little bit, which is telling me that the system, if nothing else, it doesn't have any leaks. Because if we look under the car, there's not a single drip other than from that rear main seal, which is great. So with that being said, we still have something going on with the coolant, because this thing has not been able to hold coolant, but it's also not going anywhere from what I can see, which is questionable. But that leads us into what we're about to do, which is the oil change. So once we drain this oil pan, that is going to tell us if our water has been going somewhere or if it's really just in the system, because I have not properly vacuum filled this engine, which is how you're supposed to do it. I did technically do it, but it did have a small leak, so I just said, screw it, send it, so that I could actually run the car, make sure that everything was good. But now that we're here in the present or the future, or however you want to look at it, it's time for us to actually diagnose what's going on. The good thing is we do have a radiator in that box there. I don't know which side it's for. I don't know if it can just be flipped and be for either side. What I do know is that we have a part. They obviously did some work on it. I think the guy that I bought it from wasn't aware of what work was actually done on the car other than the cosmetic stuff, and never actually got around to it. I don't actually even know how long he owned it before I bought it from him. So what I can say is they obviously did some work on it. Based off of what he told me, the guy he bought it from probably just forgot what he did, because he told me that there was going to be something going on with the front end steering, which was corroborated based off of us moving the wheel and one of the wheels not moving at all. My question is, technically, if we forego that front end refresh, we just put new tires on this thing, don't do the IMS bearing, fix that rear end, put the bumpers on. We need a bumper support for the front. Already have the headlights. The car cost me $7,500. The rear fender cost me about $800 for that to be cut out. The key, which cost me an arm and a leg. I don't even want to think about how much that actually cost me to get done. Honestly, we can have a pretty decent car for under 10 grand is what I'm looking at. If you include all the refresh stuff, it's going to be over 10 grand as well as the IMS bearing and stuff, because just those parts alone are going to be around 3 grand. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. So let's go ahead, let's hop under this car, let's drain this oil and get this oil change. Hopefully there is not a bit of fluid in there or a bit of water in there, because that's what I filled it with. So as long as that's fine, that means we don't have to tear the engine apart, which would suck. Alright, so I broke this free. Apparently I wasn't recording, but let's see what we got. See water first off, that's gonna be a bad sign. Oh god! Immediately started going on the fucking camera. Lovely, lovely. Uh-oh, it is overflowing very quickly. Can you go in, please? Like, it immediately filled all the way up. Holy hell. Oh, all over the camera. No! Stop! Why do you keep doing that? Alright, I gotta get you guys out of the splash zone. Cause what the hell? Stop! Alright, I think we've hit an equilibrium. The cap's floating around in there. Oh god, no we have not. Oh my god, how much oil is in this fucking thing? Can you slow down, please? Alright, I think we have officially hit an equilibrium. And we have a good sign. There's no, I'm sorry about all the oil on the camera, but there's no, water in the oil. Straight oil. Thank God. I don't think all this oil is gonna drain into this. But that was a lot of oil. Like, it just kept going. And it's still going. Oh no! Oh no, I forgot about my oil sample! Oh shit, hold on. Thank God there's so much oil in this, I can just do this. Make sure this engine oil is not even registering on here, which it should not. Yep. So we will add 2 quarts. And then we'll top it off with the rest. 7 quarts. It says about just shy of 9 quarts. So we will add 1 more quart. Oh wow. It's actually pretty low on there. Here's the thing, the oil level's not going to go up by itself, it will go down. That is pretty much on the dot. Let's go ahead and start it up. Probably going to need 1 more quart. Sounds a lot better. Oh my god, we're like a whole quart low. That's crazy. Basically getting the rest of it. The little corner is being saved. Oh my god. I still like needs a whole quart. Alright, I guess the rest of this is going in. That's 10 quarts of oil. That's actually 10 quarts of oil. I'm only gonna put like half in. Basically there. Crazy. How? Where is it going? Half a quart down. Literally what I have left in there. It took all 10 quarts. So much oil. Like, actually so much. It ran for a little bit, so let's see if I can actually start it up again. Nope. Alright, guess we gotta add a battery to that list. The amount of oil this car takes is absolutely insane. That was actually 10 whole quarts of oil. Granted, I did let the pan drip for like a half an hour to an hour, mainly because while I was trying to figure out how to get the oil filter off, it was dripping. And then when I had to go to the parts store to get an oil filter, again, because the one that I had bought didn't come with the right size washer for the drain plug, but of course all the other ones that were available didn't have a washer for the drain plug, so I had to reuse the washer that I had on the With that being said, do not get STP oil filters for this car. Just get the MAN oil filters if you can. I'm super excited to get into this car, finally start digging into it and pulling stuff apart, figuring out how it works. I'm also not looking forward to a lot of the engine stuff, mainly because I also have a 2008 BMW 335xi. That's a German car as well, and the engine bay is really cramped on there. This one's even worse. So pretty much everything that isn't what I just did, as well as maybe a coolant flush, is an engine drop. Keynote there, engine drop, not engine pull. You remove the car from the engine, not the other way around. But now we have a pretty cohesive parts list as far as what we need for the 996 here. By the way, I do want to name this. I don't know what I want to name it yet. I kind of want to keep true to the whole soup thing because we got the Z, which is miso, the Japanese soup. German soups are really weird names.
So I don't know, maybe something soup related. It doesn't have to be German. I don't know. But yeah, need to come up with a name for the 996. It will be deserving of it in its next form, not so much the current form. So just think of something pretty cool. This car doesn't need a whole bunch, but it does need quite a bit, and we will not be neglecting this car. We're going to put the proper work into it, and we're honestly going to dive into it here. A lot of this is going to be body work. Honestly, it's just going to be pulling the stuff apart for now. That's only because the funds that are available for the channel right now are in, well, that number's in the negative at this point. So with that being said, I'm selling the Boosted Bean shirts as well as NA Bean shirts over at buymeacoffee.com/FatalRPM. You can check the link down in the description and click on the shop. You'll be able to order them there. They are all made to order right now, so give it about 10-14 days for me to get it out to you. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching the video. If you liked it, please do hit that like button down below. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, clicking that bell icon, and clicking all so you get notified whenever we drop the new videos for the 996 911 or Miso, my 1986 Nissan 300ZX, as well as any other future projects we have coming on the car. This is going to be going, for those of you who don't know, it's going to be getting rebuilt to stock OE, more or less. And I'm going to enjoy it for a little while. We're going to turbo the Z, and we're going to do some crazy stuff with this car. But as always, I want to thank you guys again for watching. If you want to support me just a little bit more, head over to buymeacoffee.com/FatalRPM. As always, thanks again for watching. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one.